All right, what is up, y'all? I came out here on the river this morning and I was so excited all week at work. I was like, when it comes to the weekend, I'm gonna make a video for you guys. I was all excited and then woke up and drove out here and realized I forgot my GoPro. So I have no GoPro to film, and it's really hard to film me actually fishing without the GoPro unless I have a tripod, but I also don't have my tripod with me. I'm gonna just go over the setup I'm out here chasing summer steelhead with. You know, it's early summer steelhead season. We're about, mid-June. It really starts to pick up on these tributaries a lot of times. The end of June, July is really when it peaks and gets good. But I'm gonna show you kind of the water I'm looking for and the rig that I like to use. So when it comes to summer steelhead, this is kind of more the water I'm looking for. You know, a lot of those greasy tail outs and those nice smooth holes that you catch them a lot in the winter time. Right now, they're just so low and clear, maybe in the winter time, they're like a good 6-8 feet deep, a good walking speed water. And now the river's so low that those are, instead of 8 or 6 feet deep, they're 4 or 5 feet deep, crystal clear. You can see the bottom right down to them. So those fish don't like to hang out in there. You will still find them in there sometimes, but a lot of times these summer steelhead are looking more for stuff like this. Kind of a little bit shallower, choppy water. I look for anywhere between like even a foot of water, but I prefer something like 3 to like 5 or 6 feet deep with this chop over the top of it like this. Got some big rocks in there sticking up. You guys can see something like this is what those summer steelhead are really going to be relating to. They want the oxygen in the water, so they want that fast choppy water. They can hide in that chop. They can hide behind big boulders. My voice went out, sorry. But they can hide in here. They feel safe as 3 to 5, 6 feet deep. They feel comfortable in there. So it's one of their favorite spots for summer steelhead to hang out, versus those like normal traditional tail outs and things like that. You'd catch a lot of them in the winter time. So for the setup, very simple. Obviously there's a lot of ways you can target summer steelhead. This is one of my favorites. Today I brought one setup. And just because I'm hiking around a lot, you're bushwhacking in the summertime, you've got a lot of, vegetation around, sticker bushes and whatnot. So it's easy a lot of times to take one setup. So what I've got is a bait casting rod. You could also use a spinning rod. You could use a center pin, whatever you prefer. This is the Guide Select Pro. This is the 9'2", 8 to 17. They make a 9'9", and the 9'9" is more preferred. It's a 9'9", 6 to 12 bait casting. I broke mine and I haven't gotten a new one yet. These actually, a lot of times you can get warranties for these, but I have not just taken it in and tried to do that yet. So this is the 9 foot, 8 to 17. Works fine, but honestly, for the summer steelhead, low clear water, usually they're not too big a fish in these tributaries. You're looking at average of like 6, maybe 8 pounds. You will occasionally hook a bigger fish, 14, 15 pound summer. But for the most part, they're gonna be smaller fish. It's an 8 to 17, 9'2", but anything like 9 foot, you can go 10 foot 6. You just don't wanna go too long with the rod this time of year because a lot of times the river is small, there's vegetation around, so if you have too long of rod, it can just be a hassle. So something like 9 foot, 9.5 foot, perfect. A 6 to 12 rating or that like 8 to 17 rating, very good. I have a Corrado on there, Shimano Corrado. That's my reel. I got, I think, either 40 or 50 pound braided line. My simple slip sliding float setup, right? You guys have seen everyone rig that up before. I have some videos on it. And then I go down to my rig. So what I have is, I know this is kind of shaky video, but off my bobber, I got my bobber weight. I've got this leader on here, and it's about, maybe 2 feet long of 12-pound fluorocarbon. So I run from that bobber weight down to a swivel, and that's about 2 feet. In the wintertime, I run longer, but summertime, about a 2-foot leader. I got a split shot down there right by that swivel, and that is about 12-pound test. In the summertime, again, low clear water. So this first leader I like to run about 12-pound fluorocarbon. You could also use a mono if you want. You could use, some Maxima Ultra Green or something, but I just run fluorocarbon. So I got about 2 feet of that with a split shot on it. got a little swivel. It's not gonna focus. And from that swivel, I've got another section of fluorocarbon. So my top section, I like to run the 12 pound. My bottom section here, I like to run in the summertime 10 or even 8 pound. And that's about 1 foot long. So a 2 foot bumper to a swivel, a split shot in there, and then another foot leader down to my setup. Now right here I have like a size 3 addicted hook with a bead on there. Bead's optional in this setup. Sometimes I run a bead, sometimes I won't. It just is, you know, color contrast and something a little extra. And then on that hook, all I'm doing is taking some coon shrimp. You can use like store-bought, like that's Millennial. The Washington coon shrimp's really good. You can cure your own coon shrimp. I do that as well. Tanks Baits, hit them up if you want some good coon shrimp cure. And I just stick that on the hook. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. A lot of different ways people hook it on there. Sometimes I'll just hook it right through the meat, throw it out there into this kind of riffly stuff and let her float. All right, so when it comes to casting this setup, it's a long leader setup. I have a way more in-depth on how to set it up. I'll link it down below. You guys can see that. I think I call it like the best bead rig ever. Same thing, except I just add a coon shrimp on there. You could also add a little prawn, or you could add, you know, little beta eggs, a little spawn sack. Anything like that works good. Summer steelhead are bait eaters, but I do add a bead sometimes just for a little color contrast, little in case my bait pops off there during a cast. I still have a drift, you know, with not just a bare hook. So when I'm casting this out, a lot of times, you know, in the winter time, winter steelhead, you guys will hear the close middle far technique, right? Start in close, cast out a little further, and work the water. And I do that on the bigger holes than for summer steelhead. But a lot of times stuff like this, it's so low and clear that the fish are gonna be in the meat of the hole, right? Like in this chop here, they're not gonna be sitting in here, maybe early in the morning, so I still keep an eye out. But most of the time, they're gonna be in the deepest, darkest section of that, in the meat of it. And so that's usually where I'm just gonna start off fishing. Because the water is so low and clear, your first cast should always be your best cast. All right, you don't want to go in there. I have the bobber down right there. Bobber down, but I'm fishing one-handed here. You don't want to go in there and blow out the spot on your first couple casts. Because the water is so low and clear, you want to make sure that your first cast in the hole is your best cast. You have the best presentation, the best bait. That way the first time those fish see anything, it's presented right, it's in the right spot, and they eat it. These fish are very easy to spook, whereas winter fish, you can do that close middle far, you can cast around, change baits a lot, and those fish, because the water's higher, it's more green, they don't really notice as much. Whereas like if you come stomping down here and making a bunch of bad casts, these summer steelhead are just gonna get lockjaw, or they're gonna move out of the hole. There's an old nookie hen. Thought about keeping her for the eggs, but that'll be a nice one. Alright guys, well, back at home now, and like I had said, I was planning on filming a full video that day, but I forgot the GoPro, so I did a little on the river kind of tutorial with, you know, one hand messing with my fishing gear, the other hand on my phone, trying to make a little video. So that's what I got of it. If you want the more in-depth, that bead rig that I showed, I'll link it down in the description. You can find it on my channel if you just go to my main page and scroll through my videos. I think it's called like best bead rig ever or something like that. But it's basically, I run that same rig, and you could use a bead on there, or you could just go down to a plain hook and run any kind of bait that you want for the summer steelhead. Summertime, I just drop it down. You know, I'm running that lighter leader for the top section and the bottom section. And then, you know, I could use that same rig. You guys saw Spring Chinook. I did a video. I was using the same rig, but just up the pound test, up the size hooks. Summer steelhead, I'm just going to shorten it up a little bit. Lighter line, smaller hooks, a little piece of bait on there. And every once in a while, I will fish a little bead or even a corky, just for a little color contrast. If that bait falls off, you know, if you're in a hole that's got, you know, a steelhead lined in it, and you make a cast and that bait comes off, that bead or corky is still fishing through the hole. But most of the time, these are bait fish. They want to eat shrimp, coon shrimp, prawn, or some eggs. So yeah, and then we ended up actually getting an old spring Chinook. I fished around a lot that day, just hiking around the river looking for a steelhead. It's still early in the season, and there's some Chinook around. I actually saw a few chrome ones in there, and these holes, you know, the river was so low that I could see down on a lot of these holes, and I could see some bright Chinook in there, as well as some dark ones. And I was fishing this hole and ended up getting a dark Chinook on a coon shrimp. Same rig, just a bare coon shrimp on it. Bobber drained and got that dark Chinook there. And just decided to let it go because the meat probably wasn't that great. And like I said in the video there, it was a hen. At least it looked like a hen to me. And so, you know, I was like, should I just kill it just for the eggs? But then that kind of feels cruel. But at the same time, it's a hatchery fish, and it's going to either go to the hatchery and die or get spawned out. So, I mean, it's give or take situation there. You can choose what you want. But I just let it go, let it live. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Next time, I will try to remember to bring the GoPro and actually get some more fishing footage for you guys. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you learned a little bit about summer steelhead. Should be picking up here soon, so hopefully we can get some summer steelhead on the bank for you.